The morning mist curled low over the moorlands as a lone train chugged into Hollowmere Station, its whistle slicing through the silence, like a cry in a cathedral. Thomas Ashcroft, a reserved but sharp-eyed archivist from London, stepped down onto the empty platform. He clutched an old leather satchel under one arm and a faded letter in the other. The letter had arrived 3 days earlier. No sender. No return address. Just a scrawled message in sepia ink. Come to Hollowmere. The truth is buried beneath the chapel floor. Thomas had never heard of Hollowmere. Not until now. The village lay hidden between overgrown hills and forgotten railway tracks. Its cottages were hunched low, stone walls covered in moss, their windows dark like watching eyes. A cold wind moved between the narrow lanes, carrying with it the faint sound of distant bells, though no church was in sight. Mrs. Weatherby, the innkeeper of the Lantern's Rest, eyed Thomas with a mixture of suspicion and weariness when he checked in. The guest book hadn't seen a new name in over a year. "You're here for the chapel, aren't you?" she said, pouring him tea without waiting for an answer. "They always come asking about it. Never stay long." "What's in the chapel?" Thomas asked. She looked up. Her lips trembled faintly, but she only said, "It's locked, and should stay that way." Later that evening, Thomas walked through the mist-soaked streets toward the edge of the village, drawn by instinct more than direction. That's when he first saw it, the old chapel. It sat crooked on a slope, flanked by dead trees. Its stained-glass windows were shattered. The door chained shut. But something shimmered behind the broken panes. A light. Moving. As Thomas approached, the wind changed. And from within the chapel, a sound emerged. A whisper, calling his name. The following morning brought no sun, only a heavy, gray sky pressing low over Hollowmere. Thomas stepped out of the inn just as the church bell rang once, though the chapel was supposedly abandoned. He paused. There it was again. A single chime, hollow and distant. He walked back to the chapel. This time, he brought a crowbar. The chains on the chapel door were rusted but thick, coiled tightly through iron handles. He hesitated. The words of Mrs. Weatherby echoed in his mind. "It's locked, and should stay that way." But curiosity had always been a curse of his profession. Archivists dig. That's what they do. With a sharp snap and a loud groan of iron, the chain broke loose. The door swung open, its hinges screeching like something alive. Inside, the air was stale, laced with the scent of old incense and mold. Pews lay scattered, some overturned. Shards of colored glass littered the stone floor, reflecting the gray light from above like broken promises. At the far end stood the altar, and behind it the trapdoor. It was small, square, and made of blackened oak. A thick iron ring was embedded in the center, stained red with age. No lock, no markings. Just the faint imprint of a circle around it, as though it had been opened recently. Thomas crouched beside it and touched the ring. It was warm. He didn't open it. Not yet. A creak behind him made him turn. In the shadows near the back pews stood a figure. Tall. Still. Clad in dark robes. No face visible beneath the hood. Just silence. Thomas froze. "Who are you?" he called out. The figure didn't move. Didn't speak. Then, with one slow step, it began to back away, not walking but gliding, as if dragged by something unseen. It vanished behind the pulpit. Thomas ran after it, but there was nothing there. No footprints. No sound. Just the cold stillness of a room that hadn't been entered in decades. Or so he thought. Then he noticed something on the pulpit. A book. Open. Not dusty, not worn. Fresh pages. Ink still drying. One sentence, in sharp cursive. "You are not the first." Thomas's heart pounded as he stared at the words. "You are not the first." His breath came in shallow gusts. Who or what came before him? He rose and stared into the gloom beyond the pulpit, senses on edge. The dusty floorboards creaked under his weight. Somewhere, a distant drip of water echoed. He knelt to inspect the trapdoor again. The iron ring was now cold, as though it had been untouched since he last felt its warmth. A sudden clap behind him. He spun, but the chapel was empty. A slip of parchment fluttered at his feet. He picked it up. The handwriting matched the book's message. Seek beneath the weeping angel. There was no angel here. Yet. Determined, he explored the chapel's ruined stained-glass windows. One panel showed a grieving angel, wings outstretched, nearly intact amidst the shards. He brushed aside debris. There stood an angelic statue, half covered in dust. Its head, eyes cast downward, tears carved into stone trailing down marble cheeks. At its base, carved letters, beneath grief, truth sleeps. Thomas pressed down on the base, and a hidden latch clicked. The statue shifted. A small staircase spiraled downward into darkness. He swallowed his fear and stepped inside. The staircase wound deep beneath the chapel. Each footstep raised a puff of dust. Torchlight from above slowly dimmed. Finally, he reached a subterranean chamber. Its walls hollowed from ancient stone. It bore alcoves lined with relics, candlesticks, rusted chalices, fragments of parchment. At the far end, a stone pillar bore a single inscription: "He who seeks must offer." Before it, a shallow basin. The water within was black as obsidian. The air smelled of earth and old blood. Thomas knelt and cupped his fingers, touching the water. It was warm. Inside, he saw flash images. A man in robes, kneeling at an altar, a secret ceremony, a candle blown out. He jerked back. The water stilled. A whisper echoed around him, soft and urgent. "Offer yourself." A sudden gust blew cold air down the stairwell. He realized the basin demanded something. But what? He hesitated, then dropped his leather satchel into the basin. The water rippled, glowing faintly. The basin regained calm. A hidden door slid open silently in the far wall. Thomas rose, heart thudding, and stepped through. The next room was vast, a vaulted cavern lit by torches set in iron sconces. A carved circle in the center, etched with runes, glowed faintly silver in the torchlight. Around it lay ceremonial tools, a dagger with runic script, vials of dark liquid, and a rolled parchment with a drawing of a figure bound on the stone circle. Thomas's eyes traced the diagram. The figure's wrists and ankles were marked by runes, an arrangement he recognized from the archives, a binding ritual used by a secret sect centuries ago. He sensed he was not alone. A figure stood in the shadows, a second robed presence. This one removed their hood, revealing the pale face of a young woman, eyes wide, lips trembling. "Thomas Ashcroft," she whispered. "I thought I kept the secret safe." He steadied himself. "Who are you?" "Eleanor," she answered, "guardian of the chapel. My family has protected its truth for generations." "I came for the truth beneath the floor," he said. "Then you must perform the rite," she said. "The same ritual they did before, binding the secret to your soul." She gestured to the dagger and oil. Thomas stepped closer. Eleanor produced a vial of dark liquid, burnt amber, old and potent. No turning back. Thomas stood before the ritual circle. The dagger waited. The oil glistened. Sweat beaded at his temples. Eleanor read the incantation, her voice trembling. "By blood and oath. By silent vow. Let the secret bind." So truth avowed. Thomas gripped the dagger's hilt. He cut a shallow line across his palm and let a drop of blood fall onto the circle's center. Eleanor poured oil into the blood, and the runes awakened, glowing bright. A wave of pain coursed through him. Visions flooded his mind. The cult's founding, a terrible sacrifice at the chapel's altar, the spirits of the fallen bound beneath the trapdoor. He staggered. Eleanor steadied him. "You carry it now." He gasped, breath ragged. The ritual complete, the glow faded. Silence followed. He held Eleanor's gaze. "What now?" Her eyes reflected sorrow and relief. "Now, you must ascend and witness." Back through the staircase he went, guided by Eleanor's lamp. The basin below was gone, replaced by a solid stone cover. Beyond, hidden beyond another brick partition, lay the original crypt. Torchlight revealed rows of ornate sarcophagi. Some cracked open, empty. Others sealed with names long forgotten. At the center, an ancient coffin held the remains of a cult's high priest, a gaunt figure resting on carved runes. Eleanor knelt and opened the lid. Thomas looked on. Inside lay a skull wearing an iron circlet, etched runes glowing faintly. Beneath it, a folded sheaf of parchment. Thomas took it. The parchment lay in his hands. On it, the final words of the high priest. "When I pass, the curse shall find its soul-bearer. He who binds truth bears the burden." Thomas shivered. Behind him, a breeze stirred the torches, though no wind could reach here. A voice, "Welcome, bearer." Thomas turned, and the shadows writhed. The torches flickered wildly. The figures in the alcove shadows coalesced, silhouettes of the long-dead cult members, their hollow eyes fixed on Thomas and Eleanor. One stepped forward. A whisper rolled through the chamber. "The bearer must free us, or be consumed." Thomas clenched the parchment.
"How?"
Eleanor answered, voice resolute. "By sealing the door above. Binding the sanctuary so no one else finds it. The curse stays with you." He swallowed. The apparitions drifted closer. "I will do it," he said. The spirits wavered. Then Eleanor produced an ancient key, iron black, heavy with age. They climbed back up, the secret chamber sealed behind them. Thomas locked the trapdoor, the key turning with a final echo. A deep silence fell. He placed the key around his neck, suspended on a coarse cord. At dawn, Thomas stood on the village green, satchel over shoulder. Eleanor emerged from the shadows. She held a small box, a relic passed down in her family. Inside, a fragment of stained glass from the chapel window, depicting the weeping angel. "For remembrance," she said. Thomas nodded. Their eyes met. "I'll protect the secret," he said. She smiled sadly. "Then you're ready." Without another word, Thomas walked toward the station. The mist had lifted. Hollowmere seemed to watch him go. He glanced back, but Eleanor had vanished. On the train, Thomas opened the satchel. Inside, along with his archival notes, was the sealed parchment and the stained glass fragment. He traced the runes etched into his palm. It still tingled, a reminder of what he carried. In London, he locked his apartment door and placed everything in a hidden chest. The key hung around his neck, a silent promise. He slumped into an armchair, opening the parchment. It was a map leading to other chapels, other sites. The secret was not confined to Hollowmere. He looked out the window, the city's bustle drifting unheeded around him. The curse had found its bearer, but its keeper would remain vigilant.